Her mate broke their moon bond for another Luna. Then the Alpha King marked her before the pack. The bonfire at the autumn gathering burned tall against the night sky, throwing orange light across hundreds of faces. Elena Voss stood near the front of the crowd, her hands folded together, trying to look calm even though her heart was pounding. Tonight was supposed to be a celebration. Instead, it was about to become the worst night of her life. Elena had been mated to Damian Reyes for 3 years. He was the future alpha of the Crimson Hollow Pack, strong and confident, the kind of wolf everyone expected great things from. When their moon bond had first formed, it had glowed a soft silver light between them, visible to any wolf who looked closely. Elena remembered how proud she had felt back then, how safe. She thought that light would never fade. But over the past few months, something had changed. Damian grew distant. He stopped meeting her eyes during pack meetings. He spent long hours training with Priya Nakamura, the daughter of a neighboring alpha, and came home late with excuses that grew thinner each time. Elena had told herself it was nothing. She told herself mates went through hard seasons sometimes, and that loyalty meant waiting them out. She was wrong. Damian walked to the center of the clearing, right in front of the fire, and raised his hand for silence. The pack quieted immediately, sensing something important was about to happen. Elena's stomach turned. She did not know what he was about to say, but the look on his face told her it would not be good. "Tonight, I am ending my bond with Elena Voss," Damian announced, his voice carrying easily across the clearing. "The elders have confirmed that my true connection lies elsewhere. Priya Nakamura will stand beside me as Luna of Crimson Hollow." For a moment, Elena could not breathe. The silver thread that had connected her to Damian for 3 years snapped inside her chest, turning instantly to something cold and grey, like ash falling through her ribs. She staggered back a step, pressing a hand to her heart as if she could hold the pieces together. Around her, the pack members whispered. Some looked at her with pity. Others, especially those who had always admired Priya's bloodline, could not hide their satisfaction. Priya herself stood beside Damian, her chin lifted high, already wearing the expression of a woman who believed she had won something valuable. Elena wanted to run. She wanted to disappear into the trees and never come back to this clearing again. But pride kept her spine straight, even as tears burned at the edges of her eyes. She would not fall apart in front of people who wanted to see her break. She turned to leave the gathering grounds, walking as steadily as she could manage, when she found her path blocked. A wolf stood before her that she had never seen at any pack event before. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with dark eyes that seemed to hold centuries of quiet authority. The moment he stepped forward, something shifted in the air itself. Every wolf near him instinctively lowered their gaze or bent a knee, an old and automatic response to a presence far above their own rank. Elena had heard stories about the Alpha King, the ruler who oversaw every pack in the territory, but she had never actually seen him. Most wolves went their whole lives without meeting him directly. He was said to appear only at the most serious gatherings, to settle disputes between packs or observe important changes in leadership. She had not expected him to be here tonight, and she certainly had not expected him to be standing in front of her. His name, she would later learn, was Alaric Thorn. Alaric had come to the autumn gathering for an entirely different reason. There had been rumors of tension between 2 neighboring packs over hunting grounds, and he intended to observe the situation quietly before deciding whether to intervene. He had not planned on noticing anyone else that night, but when Elena's scent reached him across the clearing, something in him went very still. It was not just her scent that caught his attention, though it was unlike anything he had encountered in a long time. It was the way she carried herself even in the middle of humiliation. Her back straight, her chin lifted despite the tears she was clearly fighting back. She had just been publicly rejected in front of her entire pack, and still she walked with dignity. Alaric had ruled for a very long time, and he had seen countless wolves break down under far smaller pressures. Elena did not break. He found himself moving toward her before he had fully decided to do so. "You are leaving," he said, his voice low, but carrying easily between them. Elena blinked up at him, startled. She recognized his authority immediately, the same way every other wolf in the clearing had. She lowered her eyes out of respect, though it cost her something to do it, while her chest still ached from the broken bond. "Forgive me," she said quietly. "I did not mean to block anyone's path. I was only trying to leave." "You misunderstand me," Alaric said. "I am not asking you to explain yourself. I am asking if you intend to leave this gathering as an unmated wolf." The question confused her at first. Around them, the pack had noticed the exchange. Whispers spread through the crowd like wind through dry grass. Damien, still standing near the fire with Priya, turned to see what was happening, and his face changed the moment he recognized who was speaking to his former mate. "Your Majesty," Damien said, stepping forward with a slight bow. "I did not realize you were attending tonight. If there is some concern about the pack's affairs, I would be glad to." "This is not about your pack's affairs," Alaric said without even glancing at him. His attention remained fixed on Elena. "This is about her." Elena felt her face grow warm under the weight of every eye in the clearing. She did not understand why the Alpha King, of all wolves, would take any interest in her personal situation. She had just been discarded in the most public way possible. She was, by every measure the pack understood, someone whose value had just been publicly declared as less than another woman's. But Alaric did not see it that way at all. He had ruled without taking a mate for over 100 years. In that time, he had watched countless bonds form and countless bonds break, and he had come to believe that most connections between wolves were built on convenience, bloodline politics, or simple attraction rather than anything deeper. He had never felt drawn to change his own path. Until tonight. There was something in the way Elena held herself, something honest and unshaken beneath the pain she was clearly trying to hide, that struck him as rare. He was not a wolf who acted on impulse. He had lived too long and seen too much for that. But standing here now, watching her fight to keep her composure in front of a crowd that expected her to crumble, he understood with unusual clarity that he did not want to walk away from this moment. "I will ask you plainly," Alaric said, turning fully to face her. "Do you wish to leave this gathering unclaimed, or would you accept a mark from me?" The clearing went utterly silent. Even the crackling of the bonfire seemed to fade into the background. Every wolf present understood exactly what he was offering, and exactly what it meant. A king's mark was not simply another moon bond. It was recognized as law throughout every pack in the territory, unbreakable by any elder, any alpha, or any circumstance. A wolf marked by the Alpha King stood above every Luna, every alpha's mate, every noble bloodline in the region. It was the highest honor a wolf could receive, and it was almost never given. Damien's face went pale. Priya's confident smile faltered, then disappeared entirely as the reality of the situation settled over her. Elena stood frozen for a long moment, her mind struggling to catch up with what was happening. Only minutes ago, she had been rejected in front of everyone she knew, told that her bond meant nothing, that she was replaceable. Now the most powerful wolf in the territory was standing before her, offering something far greater than what she had lost. She searched his eyes, looking for any sign that this was some kind of trick, some way to further humiliate her, but she found none. What she saw instead was quiet certainty, and something gentler underneath it, an honesty she had not expected from someone in his position. "Why," she asked softly, her voice barely above a whisper, "why would you choose someone who was just rejected in front of everyone?" Alaric took a step closer, lowering his voice, so that only she could hear him clearly, though the pack strained to catch every word anyway. "Because a bond that breaks easily was never strong to begin with," he said. "What I see in you did not break, even when everything around you tried to make it. That is worth more to me than any bond formed out of convenience or bloodline." Elena felt something shift inside her chest, something separate from the pain of losing Damien. It was a small, warm feeling, fragile but real, the first thing to feel steady since the bond had snapped earlier that night. She thought of the years she had spent trying to hold on to something that had clearly already been slipping away. She thought of the humiliation she had just endured, the whispers, the pitying glances, the quiet satisfaction on the faces of those who had never liked her, and she thought of the way Alaric had crossed the entire clearing, not out of duty, but because something about her had genuinely caught his attention. "Yes," she said, before she could talk herself out of it. I accept. A murmur swept through the crowd, disbelief and awe mixing together. Damien opened his mouth as if to protest, but one look from Alaric silenced him instantly. There was nothing Damien could say. He had no authority here, not against the will of the Alpha King. Alaric reached out and gently tilted Elena's chin upward, the same way he had when he first approached her, though this time the gesture felt different, softer, more certain. The mark he gave her burned bright gold instead of the usual silver of a standard bond, a color the pack had only heard about in old stories passed down through generations. The moment it settled into place, every wolf in the clearing felt the shift in power ripple outward like a wave. Damien's authority, which had partly depended on his connection to Elena's family line, weakened instantly and visibly. Priya's claim to the title of future Luna became meaningless in the same breath, since no title in any pack outranked the chosen of the Alpha King. Elena felt the warmth of the mark settle over her like sunlight breaking through clouds after a long storm. The ache from her broken bond with Damien did not disappear completely, but it no longer felt like the only thing defining her. Standing there, marked by gold light in front of the very pack that had watched her be discarded only minutes earlier, she felt something she had not expected to feel again so soon. She felt chosen, not out of convenience and not because of her bloodline, but because someone had truly seen her. As the pack slowly began to bow around her, acknowledging her new place above every Luna in the territory, Elena looked up at Alaric and found him already watching her, a quiet warmth in his dark eyes that told her this was only the beginning. She had walked into the gathering that night, believing her story was ending in heartbreak. Instead, under the golden light of a king's mark, a new story had only just begun.